Welcome to Lesson 12 for Saxon Math Intermediate 5. Today we'll be talking about lines, number lines, and tally marks. Our objectives for today: after this lesson you should be able to draw a number line and count unit segments on a number line, identify and compare integers on a number line, and identify the number represented by a tally. Some review from Lesson 11. Last time we talked about sum plus some more word problems. And remember, this is the pattern that they followed, and if you were missing either of these numbers in front, you subtract to find the answer. If you're missing the total, you add to find the answer. So today we're going to look at a section of math called geometry. Geometry, they have a whole class for it in high school. Geometry is the study of shapes in math. And so we're going to study some of the basic shapes that you will encounter in math today. The first one is the point. A point is just a dot like a period in a sentence. So that's a point. Then we have a line, and notice on the end of a line you have two arrows. Lines actually go on forever in both directions. So we put arrows on the ends to show that they will continue going in that direction forever. They never stop. A segment does not have arrows on the ends. A segment is just a part of a line. So sometimes you'll see segments drawn like this, just with no arrows. Sometimes you'll see them with big dots on the end to show where they start and stop, but that would be a segment right there. And then kind of halfway between a segment and a line is a ray. So a ray has no arrow or a big point dot on one end to show where it begins, and then it has an arrow on the other end, so it goes on forever in one direction. There are a couple special kind of lines we're going to talk about. We have horizontal lines. We call them horizontal because that reminds us of the horizon, and the horizon is that straight line where the sky meets the ground if you look off into the distance. And so a horizontal line is side to side flat, like this one. A vertical line is a straight up and down line, like that one. And we have one more kind of line, an oblique line. We sometimes call this a slanted line. It's in between horizontal and vertical, so it looks like. It could look like that, it could be slanted any direction as long as it's not flat or straight up and down. Now we're going to take a look at number lines. So a number line is a line with short vertical segments called tick marks that show where numbers are in relation to 0. So they show how far a number is away from the number 0. There's a special set of numbers that are shown on a number line. They're called integers. And integers include all the whole numbers, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on, and their negative opposites, so -1, -2, -3, -4. And it goes on forever in that direction too. That's why we use a line, so that we have the arrows on either end. And it looks like this. So this goes from -5 up to 5. Notice we have the arrows on either end to show that it does continue in both directions. And these lines right here are the tick marks. So let's practice using a number line for a little bit here. I have a number line here that's very similar to the one you just saw, except this one only has the -5, the 0, and the 5 labeled. So what you might see every once in a while is you'll have a number line given to you, and then there will be a point on the number line. And you'll be asked, well, what number does point A show? So you have to look at your number line and you count your tick marks. So if this middle tick mark right here is 0, and we're going to the left, that means that we know our answer is going to be negative. So then we just count our tick marks. This would be -1, -2, -3, -4. So this one would be -4. And it would be the same thing if you were on the right, except they would be positive. So using a number line is not super difficult. You just have to make sure you know what we're counting by on the number line, because, for example, sometimes they might give you a number line and instead of this being -5, it might be -10, and then this could be 10. And then if they put a dot here and they said, what number is shown by point B, now you have to figure out what you're counting by, because this could not be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It can't be that because this is 10 already. We already know that. So we can't be counting by ones. This one would be counting by twos. So this would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So B would be 4. So you have to pay attention to what your number line is counting by. The last thing we're going to talk about are tally marks. Tally marks you usually use when you're counting something and you don't want to take the time to write the number, the digit each time you count another object. So each little tally mark counts as 1, and when you make a 5th tally mark in each group of 5, you make a diagonal mark across the 4 vertical marks. I'll show you what that looks like right here. So say you were counting the students in our classroom. We have 13 students, so each student is going to get a little vertical mark. So we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, and when we get to 5, we make a diagonal. So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So this is how you show the number 13 with tally marks. That's all for lesson 12. Make sure you do your practice problems, post any questions you have to the discussion section so we can talk about them in class, and we will see you in lesson 13.